When we think of ancient cultures, we often picture them living simple lives focused on day-to-day struggles for survival. We imagine them building pyramids as tombs for their kings, making pottery to store their food and water, or creating rock paintings to tell stories. These are all true ways that ancient people spent their time. But it wasn't just about surviving. Ancient cultures were also capable of great feats of imagination and abstract thinking. Take, for example, the Inca. Between 1438 and 1533, the Inca Empire thrived in South America. At its peak, it stretched over 4,000 miles and was home to more than 8 million people. The Inca built amazing structures like Sacsayhuaman, a fortress made entirely without mortar. They also developed a sophisticated road system that allowed for quick travel across the empire. But perhaps most impressively, they kept detailed records of astronomical events, including eclipses, comets, and the paths of planets. And they did all this without a written language. How did they keep these records? They communicated with the stars. The Inca didn't have paper or pencils, so their record-keeping was anything but. Instead of writing things down, they created what is called an observational calendar. To make it, they chose a central node, usually a mountain peak or a special rock monolith, and tied it to a specific constellation. Then they would watch how the stars moved around that central node, tracing the path of the constellations. This is the same way we track the path of the sun to tell the time. But instead of using sticks and rocks, the Inca used knotted ropes. These ropes were made from a plant called Spanish bond, which grows high in the Andes Mountains. The Inca carefully selected the plants and made sure they had no knots anywhere along their length. Each rope was a different color, and each color had a different meaning. Red meant war, yellow meant wealth, and blue meant freedom, among other things. So when the Inca wanted to communicate something important, they would add a series of knots along the rope. By counting the number of knots and knowing the meaning of the colors, anyone who found the rope could figure out what it meant. This system is called Quipu, and we still don't know every detail about it. Some scholars think that the ropes were also used to record population numbers, tax information, and the results of military campaigns. But one thing the Inca definitely recorded with their Quipu was astronomical information. In fact, Quipu may have been responsible for some pretty incredible discoveries. For example, it was only recently that scientists figured out that the Inca were tracking the path of the planet Venus and that they accurately predicted its phases like the waxing and waning of the moon. They also noticed that sometimes Venus disappeared from the night sky for long periods of time, which suggested that it wasn't actually a god, as some cultures believed, but rather a planet just like Earth. All of this knowledge came from carefully observing the night sky and recording patterns on knotted ropes. But why did the Inca do all this? Why spend time recording the positions of stars when there are fish to catch and crops to grow? Well, the answer, like many things related to ancient cultures, is that we aren't really sure. The Inca kept detailed records of their history, culture, and religion, and these astronomical records were probably part of that. For the Inca, the universe was full of gods and spirits, and the movements of the stars and planets were signs from the divine. In fact, one myth said that the Inca king Manco Capac was born under a red rain of blood, which happened during a total solar eclipse. So it makes sense that he considered himself to be the son of the sun god. His brother, Mamaraca, was even said to be the moon. As you can see, the Inca weren't just trying to survive. They looked up at the sky and imagined themselves as part of something much bigger than themselves. Now, next time you look up at the stars, remember that you are part of something much bigger than yourself. And you never know what you might discover. Maybe you'll find a new comet, or maybe you'll just make up stories about what you see. Either way, you're rejoining a long line of stargazers who have been communicating with the cosmos since we first looked up at the night sky. Thank you for watching this video. See you next time.